Okay guys, so you've officially done blind contour drawing. You created 3 blind contour drawings that probably didn't look very good, but you started training your brain in the proper fashion, which is really awesome. So now we're gonna move on to something called modified blind contour. This is what I do all the time in my sketchbook. Modified blind contours. They're essential to make your drawings look realistic. So first you're gonna tape down a new piece of paper or the back of one of your other piece of papers, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna tape it down. You don't need to tape it down as much as you did last time because there's something awesome about modified blind contour. You can look at your paper, which is amazing. So the rules for modified blind contour are pretty much the exact same as blind contour. The only difference is this time you can look at your paper and you can glance back and forth at your paper. Now, what we don't want is for you to look at your paper too much and resort back to your memory. Remember, we are drawing from real life, so that it means that you need to be looking at your hand probably a good 80% of the time. And that other 20% of the time, you can check on your paper. So there are some rules, and let's talk about them. You want to be only looking at your hand while you are physically drawing. You never want to be looking at your paper and just drawing from memory because it will not look realistic and it will not look real at all. So make sure anytime your pen is moving, you're looking at your hand, okay? Anytime your pen is moving, you're looking at your hand. You can glance back and forth at your paper in your hand the entire time, and that'll help you to gauge where you are on your paper and make sure it looks more proportionate. But that's the basic rule. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how you do it. While I'm doing my modified blind contour drawings, you'll notice a few different things. I tend to put my hand a little bit closer to the paper like this. And right now I can see my hand and my paper at the same time, which is great. I'm gonna start at the wrist of my hand and I'm gonna work my way up. I'm still imagining my ant. My ant is still going in to get wrinkles and coming back out. And I'm still trying not to lift up my pen very often. The only time you'd wanna lift up your pen is if you're going in to get something like a fingernail. You can lift it up and go to where your fingernail needs to go and then come back out. But it's also okay if there's a line connecting the two. It doesn't really matter. So I have my hand next to my paper and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start by doing my thumb. And I want you to pay attention to how I'm moving my head. Notice my head is never moving the entire time. I'm halfway up my thumb and now I'm gonna go ahead and check out my piece of paper. My head barely moves and my eyes are the thing that's moving the entire time. I glance back and forth at my hand and my paper, and I'm just glancing, guys. I'm not even moving that much. I've probably looked at my paper 5 times now, 6 times. I'm taking my time, going really slow, getting all of those details, all of those wrinkles. Their hand is still gonna look kind of segmented, and that's okay. If you mess up, you can go back and fix it, but just make sure you're never erasing, your pen's on the paper the entire time. Awesome. I'm glancing back and forth the entire time. And I would say that you probably need to spend around the same amount of time, 10 minutes on each hand. And this time you're gonna turn in 3 more modified blind contours. So now you can see the difference. We can clearly tell that that's a thumb, and you should be able to tell this time around. The thumb should be pretty obvious and clear. You're still gonna have some mistakes, and that's totally fine. It's all about practice. The more you practice your modified blind contours, the better they'll look. The more you'll be able to gauge how often you should look at your paper. It's all based on how you are as a person. If you need to look more, if you need to look less, that just depends on how yours is turning out. So you guys can also come in during RTI at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day to come get help and see how you're doing. But yeah, go ahead and start on your modified blind contours. Go for it.